Hey, how's it going, everyone? So, what am I doing now? Well, I just want to talk about a couple of things. I sparked some interest in that video with the Volkswagen that has combustion getting in the cooling system, the blown head gasket one. Um, not positive it's a blown head gasket. Could be a blown head gasket, cracked block. Could be a cracked head. There's any number of different things it could be, but you have to start disassembling it to find out. But one thing, and this has come up several times in the past, and I just want to debunk this whole thing real quick. I'm doing this on purpose. I'm sitting inside my '08 Dodge Grand Caravan. It's got 250,265 miles on it. Okay? I'm the second owner of this vehicle. I do regular oil changes, and that's pretty much it. I had to put a radiator on it once. That's about it. Other than normal services. It still has the original transmission fluid in it. But what I want to debunk is this. Let me show you. All right, here, you're looking at the cluster. There's the mileage, 250, 265. Okay. Just going to cycle a bit the RPMs because the AC is kicking on and off. All right, so what's my point of that? I've had several people over the years saying, when I've done stuff like this, oh, well, if it didn't have a blown head gasket before, it certainly has one now. Learn how to work on cars. Learn how cars actually work, okay? Because you obviously don't know what you're talking about. I've had people say, well, if it didn't have engine damage before, it has engine damage now. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Things like this, if you noticed, I'm sitting here holding it, trying to hold it about $4,000. The AC keeps kicking on. It's hot as all dickens out here. It's 93. So the AC keeps kicking on. But it's not going to damage anything. It's not going to do anything. As a matter of fact, you know what? Here, hold on a second. You see the mileage? You see what I'm doing? It's floored. I cannot go any further. It's floored. Am I worried about breaking it? No. Am I worried about blowing a head gasket doing this? No. You know why? Because it ain't going to happen. It's designed for this. Well, I mean, it's not designed to sit here and do this, but it's designed within the parameters of doing something like this. Yes, it's free revving. It's not going to damage the motor. If damage to the motor happens, it would have happened anyway. So, another thing that people are saying is, because I had mentioned oil in the coolant. A lot of times oil in the coolant is from the oil cooler or transmission cooler because they have higher pressure than the cooling system. The cooling system maybe gets a 16, 18 PSI max. Engine oil pressure, 50, 60, 70, 80. See, actually, my foot's still on the floor. Yeah, now I'm going to have to cycle the key. It'll only allow you to do it for so long like that, full throttle. But my point is, it's not going to break anything. I have one of my trucks for sale, and somebody was just passing by looking at it. Anyway, some people are saying, oh, that's an oil cooler. That's not an oil cooler on that Volkswagen. If it was an oil cooler, yes, I would still see that kind of substance in the oil, but I wouldn't have that smell. It's a very distinct smell if you know what a head gasket smells like. When you get combustion mixing in the cooling system, there's a very distinct smell that goes along with it. I'm used to it. 40 years plus in the business, I'm used to the smell. I know what it smells like. And as soon as I took the cap off, I'm like, well, there's definitely some oil substance in here, whether it's full on oil, who knows. But there's some oil substance in here. Is it oil from a cooler? Possible. But my doubts were because of the odor. That's why I did the block test. Now, I've also got people saying, oh, well, now you should do a leak down test and a compression test. Why? There's no reason to. There's no reason to. I know combustion's getting in the cooling system, so there's no reason to go any further at this point. I know I have to tear the motor down. What's the leak down test going to tell me? that the block test hasn't told me. Leak down test, yeah, it might show that I have leakage, but unless it's leaking directly through a valve, like I could say, okay, it's leaking through the exhaust valve or it's leaking through the intake valve, that's not going to create combustion in the cooling system. Only a crack or a blown head gasket or something along those lines will do that. So, if I didn't have a block tester, yes, I could do a leak down test to find this out. A compression test more than likely wouldn't tell me anything other than, do I have weak compression? But even having weak compression doesn't mean that you have a cracked head, block, blown head gasket, etc. If the car had a turbo, it could have been something with the turbocharger, but it's a non-turbo car. Yes, it does have an oil cooler, but it's not the oil cooler. Yes, I've seen tranny fluid do that, but I believe on those Volkswagens they have an externally mounted type, separate from the cooling system type of tranny cooler, I believe. I'm not positive though. But anyway, that's all. I just wanted to point that out. Free revving a motor is not going to kill it. And as you see on the newer cars, like this has electronic throttle body, it could only go to $4,000. It wouldn't allow it to go any higher. A lot of the newer cars, they'll only go up to maybe 900 RPM. They won't even let you go that high. You know, some cars, unless you have it in gear, it won't let you rev it up at all. And if you have your foot on the brake, it won't even allow you to brake stand it. Old cars, yeah. If this thing had a throttle cable, I could probably rev this thing up to $7,000. But then again, a lot of cars, when electronic fuel injection came out, they came out with rev limiters. So on my older Mustangs, older 1988, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, the Fox bodies with the 5 liters, I think the rev limiters were set at 6,400, 6,500 RPM. I don't recall now. 6,700 RPM? I don't quite remember. So it's like no matter what you did, you just could not rev it any higher than that. Although I had one where the rev limiter did not work, and that thing, I had done some head work to it and whatnot. I didn't change anything on the computer, but that thing would rev up to $7,000. I think I mentioned it. That's the one that I had my friend Terry McGeehan in the car, and I was shifting it, and I was shifting it so violently he like looked at the windshield because he thought I broke the windshield. That car I could rev up. No idea why. I just never hit a rev limiter in that one. But yeah. So anyway, going off on a tangent once again. Anyway, just thought I'd share that with you. Free revving a motor is not going to kill it. If it does, you already had a problem. So, all right, guys. Hopefully you got something out of that. If you did, hit that like button. If you could, please subscribe. Have a great day. Keep wrenching.